name is Kent Peterson. I'm an emeritus professor from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I've spent my career working with schools all across the country and internationally on trying to understand school leadership, but also with a specific focus on how to shape and transform schools into positive school cultures. I've done both research but learned an enormous amount from the behaviors and discussions that I've had with practitioners in the field. So let's take a look at and think about school culture and perhaps school climate, because oftentimes people confound the two, and they're both important. And school climate is perhaps a part of school culture, but a little bit less important. School climate is the feeling and experiences that people have in going to school, working in schools, and so forth. And school climate are these felt experiences of, is it positive? Is it a negative school climate? Is it kind of a warm climate, or is it kind of cold? Is it hostile or supportive? So it's the felt experiences of people. Now, in contrast to that, I think school culture is a deeper, perhaps more important aspect to consider when thinking about leading schools and shaping schools that are successful. School culture is the deeper set of norms, values, and beliefs that drive what people do. It affects everything that goes on. In addition, school culture is made up of rituals, traditions, ceremonies, and celebrations that build community and reinforce the core purpose of the school. We also find that symbols and artifacts are part of the school culture. Sometimes we minimize the importance of symbols and artifacts, but they're crucial, I think, to reinforcing core values and norms. Another thing that more and more people have been talking about is the importance of history and stories. What are the stories that are told about your school? Do they reinforce the positive aspects of your school culture, or do they damage some of people's connection to the school culture? Finally, Terrence Deal especially has come up with the notion of the informal network. And the positive informal network is that group of individuals who take on roles within the school culture. These are storytellers and gossips. And gossips are not gender-based. Gossips are just communicators in the school culture. We also have heroes and heroines who are exemplars of the culture, who reinforce the core values and hopes and dreams of the school culture. They're historians, navigators, dreamers, but the informal network kind of keeps the organization communicating, reinforcing, and talking. So school culture is really a deep set of norms, values, beliefs, rituals, traditions, ceremonies, symbols and artifacts, stories and history that make a difference in everything that goes on. In fact, I truly believe that school culture affects how people feel, how they think, and how they act. Both from research and best practices, we found that school culture affects, positive school culture has very positive influences over a whole variety of school outcomes. We find that school culture affects student achievement, teacher learning, the degree to which teachers and others engage in school improvement, innovation, and the change process. But we also find that staff and student absenteeism is probably related to the degree to which there's a shared sense of purpose and a positive culture. Additionally, one of the largest problems that we're seeing in schools right now is teacher turnover. Oftentimes, teachers are leaving within the first 3 years of their career, and a positive school culture is usually reported as the number one or number two aspect of the reason the teachers stay or the reason that they leave. Issues is how to develop positive cultures. Now, cultures develop over time somewhat naturally as people work together, play together, deal with problems together, and celebrate successes together. But cultures need to be nurtured and supported and encouraged by all the leaders of the school. And I'm not talking just about the headmaster or school principal. All the teacher leaders are key to shaping the culture. One of the things I always think about is three sets of processes. One is how to read the culture. What is the core culture as it exists, and how did it come to be? So you need to read the culture. Second is assessing the culture. What are the positive aspects of the culture that you want to reinforce? And what are perhaps some less than positive aspects that you want to transform? And the third one is, how do you shape the culture? How do you shape a positive culture? And later we'll turn to how do you address and transform negative, dysfunctional, or toxic cultures? Let me mention just a few things that you might be able to do to shape and nurture a positive culture. First of all, it sounds so simplistic, but it's oftentimes not done, which is truly reinforce positive norms and values. Do it on a regular basis. We oftentimes find ourselves caught in administrivia and bureaucratic demands on us. But if you don't reinforce the core values, they're likely to die. Another is to communicate the central mission and purpose. Sometimes schools start out and they write a mission statement and a vision statement perhaps, and you find and hear that it's lost somewhere in a computer file, and it's not reinforced. So reinforcing the core mission of making a difference in the lives of students is critical to having a positive culture. Another one is, that's oftentimes missed again, are having a whole set of rituals, traditions, and ceremonies. Rituals are routines embedded with value. In one school, teachers get together on Thursday morning, every Thursday morning, have coffee and something to eat, and tell stories of how the week is going. Traditions are those longer things that occur perhaps every year that reinforce core values. And finally, ceremonies and celebrations are absolutely crucial to reinforcing positive cultures. Ceremonies are those larger community events that bring people together around core values, stories, and history, and reinforce the sense of community and the sense of direction. And celebrations are oftentimes missed in schools. People are working, they're getting paid. Why should we celebrate and recognize their accomplishments, big and small? Well, without the celebration of the work of staff, of volunteers, of students, of everybody, a culture can actually start to wither and die. And finally, I'd just like to say, using the informal network to the positive informal network, because we'll talk about the negative informal network in a minute, using the positive informal network to communicate, to reinforce those core values is, I think, critically important. And finally, communicating through social media is a key way to reinforce the culture. People see some problems perhaps with social media, but good leaders find a way to use social media to reinforce core values, to tell stories of accomplishment, and to build community. Surprisingly, social media is becoming one of the most useful ways that leaders lead. Whether it's Instagram or texting or photographs of what's going on in classrooms, or of a celebration of a teacher who has just finished their master's degree, social media is a great way and simple and engaging to reinforce values. there's no question that face-to-face communication, talking to people, the school tour are all ways to reinforce a positive culture. But social media can reach people over the summer, over the weekend, at a time when they may need the kind of positive story that can be told in social media. One of the most powerful times in the life of a school is when it's just getting started. Not at the beginning of the school year, but when it's opening up for the first time to teachers and students in the community. And oftentimes, school leaders and staff in the community spend an enormous amount of time on the structures, the policies, the rules, and so forth. And those are important. There's no question about it. But oftentimes, they get hijacked by all of the work that's necessary just to get the school running administratively. And they forget that now is a time to build the school culture. It's been interesting to visit schools that were just starting out, just opening up, and talking with school leaders and staff leaders about what's important in the school. And they had forgotten to spend time together and deeply thinking about the core mission and purpose and values of the school. The most powerful schools that I have seen, yes, do a great job of getting all of the administrative planning and organizing done, but at the same time, spending time thinking about what is the culture of their school? What is the true purpose of what their school is about? What is the mission that they have? What are their core values? And what do they believe about kids and parents and and staff relationships? Talking about those things up front, even if you don't come to an absolute decision about it, I think is a powerful way to get started on the culture. The other thing is think about what are the symbols of the school? Well, what are the colors of the school? Is there a school song? Is there a school mascot? Is there a school flag? I know this sounds weird, but is there a school pen or pencil that people will get when they come in and visit the school? What is the logo of the school? For example, there's a school, non-public school in Philadelphia called the Philadelphia School. And their logo is a combination of a brick wall and a tree next to it, because part of their mission has always been environmental education and taking kids out on field trips into the country and doing project-based learning in the field, as well as learning about their urban setting where the school is located. So the symbol of the school, the logo, is really important. And trying to figure it out at the beginning of the history of the school is crucial. In the midst of all of the administrative work of opening up a brand new school, it's easy to forget the meaning of what you're trying to do. It's very easy not to spend time talking about those deeper issues of purpose and value. And it's crucial to do that. So that finding some time at the opening of a school, I think is critically important. It becomes part of the story and history that's told for the next 20 to 30 years about how the school started. Was it started bureaucratically, or was it started with a core set of values and relationships that made it the great school that it is?